Yeah, I want to talk about something that's very interesting to me personally. So, I have this really nice garden that's growing, that's establishing itself. And then you have these oddities all over the place that are occurring. And I'll explain it to you. So, this is in one area of the garden. It's from the same plant start. We had one of these and we turned into like 100 of these. But we have these certain plants that grow better, have better variegation, have more profound structure under the leaves, have these back wings that are larger than this plant. So there's this real oddity in all plant life where certain plants do better than other plants. All of modern agriculture is based off that principle that there are certain plants that do better than other plants. And what that means is that you have this variation in life. And that variation in life is what the botanists use to improve varieties, improve characteristics of plants. They use that to their advantage. And it's not talked enough about that these plants have this ability to be different. And that difference is what makes a big change in the gardening world, is that you can have a rose beside another rose that came from the same cutting or whatever it may be, and it outperforms the other plants. So the breeder would select that plant and go again. They would go again and breed that plant to pick out the best traits. My video is about the fact that plants have that ability to show these traits that are not normal to the other plants. They're exceptional. And this applies for everything that is alive. Human beings, you have human beings that are exceptional artists, that are exceptional musicians, that are exceptional at mathematics, whatever it may be. There's this idea that this diversity, I call it the diversity protocol, that life can only survive or move forward when there's a diversity protocol or mechanism in place to move life forward. Over and over again, there's this movement of change. Diversity is also about change. It's about something getting bigger, something having a brighter flower, someone being more mentally agile, some animal being faster, some animal being able to handle more cold. This idea of this diversity is so interesting because, especially in the plant world, if you remove it completely from science, it's barely talked about. It's barely discussed that there's plants that grow more vigorous in your own garden, not in some botanical place or some laboratory. I'm talking inside your own garden. You have all these diversity protocols taking place that are so vigorous, so life-changing for the gardener. You will have these plants that just have like the most beautiful flower. The insects will recognize that flower. They will go to it first. They will pollinate it first. So there is this forward movement, even in a simple garden. In your garden, there's a forward movement that you, as a gardener, have to recognize. When you have plants like this that are twice the size and way more vigorous, keep propagating this plant. You know, there's nothing wrong with this smaller version, but when you have these special plants, you know, just put more focus on them. Let them be a big part of your garden. There's so much of this unknown in the human mind is why this diversity is in place. Why is it allowing us to grow bigger corn, bigger potatoes? Why is it allowing us to have more diversity, more specific diversity, where everything is being pushed forward to be a brighter color, a double blossom, or a variegated leaf, whatever it may be. We have the ability to change our gardens simply by paying attention to what shows up in the garden and pushing those certain types of plants and occurrences. Let's call them occurrences, where something occurs in your garden that is out of the ordinary, exceptional. Promote it, keep it going. Put more emphasis on those plants, and you'll see that your garden will take on a complete different shape and form. Yeah, I would put a number of about 5%. So 5% of the plants in my garden, they show extraordinary growth habits. They are exceptional plants that are very different from any other plant of the same species that's in the garden. They will grow taller, they will grow faster, they will grow brighter flowers, they will do all these special things. And this video is just to encourage you to pay attention to your garden when these really beautiful oddities occur. And when you have these oddities in your garden, nourish them, look after them. Make sure these special plants get a special treatment from you. Water them a little bit more. Divide them. Get them into your garden so they last. And if you pay attention to all these little things that go on in your garden, these special occurrences, these special plants, then you will have an exceptional garden, because these plants, they stand out so much more than anything else in your garden. And basically most of botany is based on these exceptional plants. It's like meeting an exceptional human being. It's no different. These exceptional things that occur in your garden are worth promoting, and they're worth paying attention to, and you need to move them forward. Yeah, this idea of exceptional plants is very interesting. When you go to a nursery and there's a display of, let's say, 50 azaleas. Well, what do you do as a gardener? You will go through the 50 plants and you will pick the most vigorous plant. You will pick the nicest looking flower. You will pick the nicest looking leaves. The plant that is least damaged. So even when you buy your plants, you're being very specific in your choices. And that same thing happens in your garden. You've got all these things that are occurring to make something a little bit more exceptional than the plant that's 4 feet away from it. You have fruit trees that shoot up like rockets. You have other fruit trees that just sit there and they do nothing. So we have all these different energy levels in the garden. And we need to really pay attention to what happens in the garden in terms of beautiful flowers, beautiful energy in terms of the growth. So pay attention to everything that goes on in your garden in terms of this exceptional behavior of your plants. And things will get a lot better in your garden if you're paying attention to, when you're buying something, buying the most vigorous looking plant. When you're in your garden, promote the plant that is doing incredibly well. And if you pay attention to the life in your garden, you can promote that forward movement and do incredibly well as a gardener.